Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the internet, The John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. It's an honor and a privilege to have you guys joining me here today, and we got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about today, so let's go right off the top with this. Last night, went to go see a little film called Deadpool 2 again. It was my second screening of the film. Enjoyed it very much, and this little trailer popped up in front of it that I had not seen yet. This is a red band trailer for the upcoming Melissa McCarthy comedy, Happy Time Murders. Now, for those of you who know nothing about Happy Time Murders, basically it imagines this world, the world, but where puppets are actually, they're real, like they're a race. They're a real living species among us. And somebody, a serial killer, is going around killing puppets. And Melissa McCarthy and her puppet partner are now trying to solve the case. Now, this was a red band trailer, which of course you can play in front of a Deadpool 2. Look, I thought that Happy Time Murders, sounds like a neat idea. Sounds like a neat idea. Sure, I'll check it out. It sounds interesting, I guess. Okay, you know how I always say the job of a trailer is to take your existing excitement level for a movie, wherever it is, however high it is, however low it is, and mine was relatively low, to take your excitement level for a movie from wherever it is and kick it up a few notches. The trailer, this red band trailer, if you have not seen it yet, oh my God. The trailer for this movie has taken my excitement level from here to about here, which is just crazy. This trailer is the most surprising trailer I've seen in 2018. I cannot even begin to tell you how much I love this trailer. This trailer had me laughing my guts out from start to finish. Now, look, it's just a trailer. I'm not saying the movie's going to be great. Maybe the movie will be awful. How many times have we seen great trailers to terrible movies? This movie might suck, yes. But I'm just saying, my excitement level, my anticipation level for this little puppet movie, Happy Time Murders, went from, yeah, it looks interesting, to, oh my God, I cannot wait to see this. The jokes in this thing just rip me apart. Now, again, this might be one of these situations where they're putting all the funniest stuff just in the trailer and nothing else in the movie is funny. Totally possible. But, oh my God, if we're just going to talk about the trailers and just giving the trailer credit where credit's due, I think it's my favorite trailer of 2018 so far. I just don't think I've seen a trailer that has moved the needle of where my excitement level was to where my excitement level is as much as this particular trailer has. It's just ridiculous. It's completely caught me out of left field. Now, I knew it was going to be an R-rated film. I knew that. But, oh my goodness. I feel like this thing is going to be NC-17 in some places. I'm not sure. But if you guys have not checked out this trailer yet, you absolutely got to check it out. It completely made my day. All right, let's talk about something else here. All right, so also off the top, like I said, I went to go see Deadpool 2 last night, and apparently a hell of a lot of people did. Because Box Office Mojo right now is reporting that Deadpool 2 has just set the brand new box office record for opening Thursday nights at like $18.6 million. This makes it the biggest opening Thursday in R-rated history. The previous record holder was it at like 13 point something million. It just destroyed that record. Also, it made more money on its opening Thursday night at 18.6 than Jurassic World did at 18.5. And Jurassic World went on to make over $200 million on its opening weekend. Now, I'm not saying Deadpool 2 is going to make over $200 million, but this thing is just destroying expectations. So a brand new box office record for Deadpool 2. Congratulations to them. Again, I saw it for the second time last night. I love this movie. I got to take 3 people with me, my wife Ann, my friend Sol, and his girlfriend CJ. We all went to go see it at the AMC Prime last night, and we all just loved it. I like this movie better the second time around than I even did the first time around. Crazy funny, crazy entertaining film. I just absolutely adored it. So yeah, Deadpool 2 sets new box office record. How big can this opening weekend be? I mean, the initial tracking numbers were 150 opening weekend, which would have beat its previous number. How big? It's going to come in somewhere. It's going to beat 150, but how close to 200 can it get? I mean, an R-rated movie like this hitting or even getting close to 200 million is nutty, but we'll just have to wait and see how well it does. Okay, guys, listen, there's a whole bunch of other stuff going on in the world of movie news, so let's get right to it right now in a little segment we call the Movie News Feed. Every year, the CW Arrowverse shows do a big crossover event. The most recent ones was the Crisis on Earth X story, which was hands down one of the best single-shot stories the Arrowverse has ever done. In the next one, Arrow himself, Stephen Amell, has just revealed that Batwoman is going to be introduced. Amell said the following: "We're incredibly excited to announce that we'll be doing another crossover event this fall on the CW, and we'll be introducing a new character. For the very first time appearing, we'll be fighting alongside Batwoman, which is terrific. The crossover is going to make it to air in December. I need to leave right now and start filming it." Now, this news has got a lot of people buzzing. First of all, like I already mentioned, the crossover episodes in the Arrowverse back when it was just Flash and Arrow, and then they expanded that to Flash, Arrow, and Supergirl and their various casts, and then they added Legends Tomorrow and all that kind of stuff, have been really great. And the Crisis on Earth X stuff was fantastic. I mean, I just loved it. And that led to spin-off opportunities from the Earth X stuff in the various shows as well. So now everybody's buzzing, Batwoman, that means they're going to do Batman, right? That's confirmed. Well, no, they never mentioned Batman, and I still suspect, although could totally be wrong here, I still suspect they'll never use Batman. But John, if they're having Batwoman, that means there has to be Batman. Well, remember, this is the TV show. This isn't the comic book. So just because Batwoman's there doesn't mean it's Batman. But the other big thing that we have to keep in mind here is this. The Arrowverse is a multi-world verse, right? Multiple dimensions. Like I think Supergirl's like Earth 38 or something along those lines. There is nothing to say that this Batwoman isn't actually in Flash's or Arrow's Earth. This could be a Batwoman from like an Earth 16 where Batwoman is the only member of the Bat family. There is no Batman. But John, they've acknowledged that Bruce Wayne exists. Yeah, but they've also acknowledged Bruce Wayne exists on Supergirl's Earth. So this is a big multidimensional thing. Just because they're doing Batwoman does not mean at all they may even hint at the existence of a Batman. They may, but when you're living in this Arrowverse where there's multiple Earths, you can do lots of different things. And one of the things you can do, if this is what they're going for, is introduce a Batwoman without there being a Batman. Next up, the upcoming Sandra Bullock, Cate Blanchett ensemble heist film Ocean's 8 isn't opening until June 8th, but some early tracking numbers have just come out and it should be encouraging for the studio. According to reports, Ocean's 8 is currently targeted at hitting somewhere between $30 to $36 million on its opening weekend. Variety says it's worth noting that Ocean's 8's older target audience doesn't always rush out to theaters on opening weekend. Its success will likely rely on playability stemming heavily from reviews and word of mouth. It's also worth noting that with a relatively modest budget of just around $70 million, that means opening at the box office, the profitability line is going to be much more manageable than other films that are, say, in the $100 or $150 million range. Now, I was always intrigued with this movie just because of the lineup that you got. You got multiple Academy Award winners in there, some really great performers in there. I've always been intrigued, but never truly excited. Now, the first real trailer came out and it upped my anticipation. I'm still not going to say that, oh my God, I can't wait for this movie. No, I'm not there yet. But the trailer was quite good and it did suggest a really just good, solid, fun heist movie. And I'm a bit of a sucker for heist movies. Now, let's talk about this $30 to $36 million opening thing. If you're a movie like Avengers, if you're a movie like Justice League, if you're a movie like a Jason or a James Bond film, a $30 to $36 million movie is not something you're looking for. But a movie with like a $70 million budget, generally speaking, you want to at least earn at your domestic opening weekend half of what your budget was. If they can come in at the top end of that 30 to 36 million, like around 35 million, then they will have done that. They will have made half of its budget on just its domestic opening weekend. If they can do that, the film should be in pretty good shape. Now remember, these tracking numbers are still plenty early. The movie doesn't come out until June 8th, so these numbers could go up. But if they do go up from here, then that means this Ocean's 8 film is in pretty good shape. Now we just have to wait and see if the movie's actually any good or not. Next up, the first trailer for the upcoming romantic comedy or anti-romantic comedy, Destination Wedding, has just hit the web. The film stars John Wick's Keanu Reeves and Stranger Things star Winona Ryder. The film is described as a comedy about two miserable and unpleasant wedding guests, both pariahs at this affair, who develop a mutual affection despite themselves. But to act on those feelings would be to trust hope over experience, a foolish choice indeed. This film marks the fourth collaboration between the two stars after they appeared together in Bram Stoker's Dracula, A Scanner Darkly, and The Private Lives of Pippa Lee. I remember hearing about this film months ago, but it's been 100% off my radar, and I had basically forgotten about it until, boom, the trailer drops, and I like it. It's a good trailer. I mean, look, it's not mind-blowing, it's not making it the most anticipated film on my list or anything like that, but it's charming. The chemistry between Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder is just undeniable. They have a terrific chemistry together, both when they're playing soft like we've seen in other movies, but this kind of animosity, attraction mix that we see in this trailer makes it something that I've just got to watch. Plus, the whole thing about, my wife and I have had discussions about destination weddings. Are they even a good idea? Are they kind of, are they kind of unthoughtful, like making people fly around the world? So there's all that type of stuff as well. So you bring all that into one movie and you put these two stars. Now, it should be noted that basically this trailer, if you haven't watched it yet, and I do suggest you watch the trailer, but if you haven't watched the trailer yet, the trailer just basically is always on these two. It's always on these two. There's really not much of a supporting cast, at least not according to the trailer. And if that's a reflection of the whole movie, I could watch a 90-minute movie of these two and having their banter back and forth the whole time. So again, not a mind-blowing trailer, but a charming one, and it's definitely put on my radar. I'm looking forward to seeing this thing. Next up, according to Deadline, Steven Spielberg and Leonardo DiCaprio are in the early discussion phase to re-team on an epic biopic of Ulysses S. Grant that DiCaprio himself is producing at Lionsgate. It's said that Spielberg wants to direct DiCaprio in that role in their first film collaboration together since the 2002 drama Catch Me If You Can. The movie will be adapted from the biography book Grant and is being adapted into a screenplay by writer David James Kelly, who also just wrote the screenplay for the upcoming Taron Egerton film Robin Hood. Steven Spielberg is a director who's directed so many amazing films that sometimes you mention them and go like, I forgot he directed that. And I think a lot of times a lot of people forget that he directed Catch Me If You Can. What he and DiCaprio did together on Catch Me If You Can was wonderful. I know there's a lot of people out there that Catch Me If You Can is like their favorite Steven Spielberg film. Put together a project like this. This is the type of film that Steven Spielberg has been wanting to direct. And here's the big appeal for somebody like Leonardo DiCaprio. The last time that Steven Spielberg directed a historical biopic based on one big strong figure was Lincoln. And he directed the actor in Lincoln, the greatest actor of all time, of course, to winning an Academy Award for Best Actor in Daniel Day-Lewis. Leonardo DiCaprio's got to look at that and he's got to make his mouth water, because once he finally got that monkey off his back and finally won his first Academy Award, you know he's itching to win another one. And he wants to take on these big, meaty, challenging roles, and he wants to work with the best storytellers, often with a Scorsese and now, of course, a Steven Spielberg, which he has worked with before. This has got me, like, as a film fan, if you're anybody who's a film fan, this has to make you salivate. I mean, if you are a film fan, a figure like a Ulysses S. Grant, in the hands of a director, probably the greatest director of all time, Steven Spielberg, and one of the best actors working in the world today with Leonardo DiCaprio, this has Oscar potential written all over it. And you got to assume this is going to be something really special. Again, it's in the early stages, but if this thing actually comes to fruition and they greenlight the whole thing and they make this thing, it's got to jump to the top 2 or 3 spots in your most anticipated films list. And finally, a few months ago, it was revealed that the 1985 cult classic film Clue, based on the wildly popular board game, was getting a remake with Ryan Reynolds in the lead and his Deadpool screenwriters, Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, penning the script. We haven't heard much about the project after that, but the team has been busy with Deadpool 2. But at the recent Deadpool 2 premiere, the writers said the following: "Don't be surprised if Clue is an R-rated movie, potentially. It will have elements of the original movie, but it's important that we don't try and just rehash it. We want to build on it. We want to take some of what makes it fun and funny, but then we want to do our own thing. It's about finding a balance. Hopefully we don't upset the Clue hounds, because there are a lot of them apparently. We didn't realize this until after we signed up." I've told the story before that in my house, there are no less than 5 versions of the Clue game, like regular Clue, Golden Girls Clue, Game of Thrones Clue, a Supernatural Clue, and there's about 2 or 3 others as well. Anna and our friend Kaori and a couple of other friends will play Clue every week. They'll play a version of Clue every week. I cannot get it out of my house. With that being said, and then the old classic film is great. Look, I, like everybody else, if you go back a couple months, when they announced this, I remember the first time I read the news that Ryan Reynolds was doing a Clue movie, I thought, wait, did I read that right? Is that a typo? But apparently they're working on it. And it's not just Ryan. He's working a lot with Wernick and Reese, and they've got this film coming together. The idea of it being rated R is interesting, but really when you think about it, the subject matter of even the original 85 film is a little edgy. A lot of murder, sexual innuendo, all that kind of stuff. It really wouldn't take much to just say, hey, let's just nudge it a little bit this certain direction and make it R-rated, which then opens the door and allows them to do a lot more stuff. If they just accept, look, we're doing this movie and it's going to be R-rated. Once you do that, it opens the doors of potential things that you can do in the film if you wanted to do them, if they'll work for the movie. Don't just do R stuff for the sake of doing it, but if it works for the movie, go for it. Then it creates some possibilities. This could be fun. I still think it's an odd choice for them to redo the 85 Clue movie. I'm not seeing Clue having a big, revision or a big revival of popularity in the last couple of years, other than in my house, apparently. But still, I don't know why they're doing it, but they are doing it, and it could be pretty good, so let's just wait and see. And that'll do it for today's installment of the Movie News Feed. And now you are all caught up to date on all the significant stuff going on in the world of movie news. So now let's go over to some of the main topics here. Of course, the main topics are submitted by you guys. How do you get a topic or question on The John Campea Show? It's simple. Just email me anytime at john@thejohncampeashow.com. Put the word topic in the subject line and make sure, guys, keep those emails to 90 words or less. All right, let's get things kicked off here with the first email today. And the first email today comes to us from Patreon supporter Jeff Bingham, who writes, "Hey, John. It's good to see Deadpool 2's reviews align with what test scores were, but it's a reminder that reports of positive test scores more often than not can seem like a PR gimmick to suggest a movie is good when it really isn't." Yeah, so this is actually a topic that comes up a lot. Whenever there's a highly anticipated movie coming out, you know for sure a couple of months before the movie comes out, some story will come out saying, a test audience just saw it and they thought they hated it, or a test audience came out and they gave it a standing ovation in a test audience, and it is all bullshit. None of it's true. None of it's real. I mean, seriously, every single film, you'd think that these test audiences are the loosest security in the history of the universe, that these things just get out. They don't. I'm not saying none of them are, but 95% of them are all fake. Just somebody hopping on Reddit who has never seen the film saying, I was at a test screening of this upcoming excited movie that everybody's talking about, and I thought this, and their audience said this, and it's all BS. I mean, seriously, how many times have we seen, like, such and such test screening got a standing ovation, the movie comes out and everybody hates it? I mean, it's just another point out. And yes, I remember there being some reports that test audiences saw Deadpool 2 and the audiences loved it. Well, as it turns out, the audience does love the film, but that doesn't change the fact that that was BS when the report came out. I would never listen to anything about test audiences, because those things are sealed. And they make sure that the people who come in are not going to blab their mouths. And does it happen maybe once in a blue moon? Sure. Maybe once in a blue moon. But you'd have to be like at least 85% credible for me to ever pay attention to it. And we're talking about 3% credible. It just kind of goes to just show us again that once again, we shouldn't listen to these test score things that come out, because 95% of the time they're just BS. So who cares? Now, fortunately, in the case of Deadpool 2, it ended up being that the movie is beloved by audiences. But that doesn't mean that those test audience things were accurate, because I guarantee you they weren't. All right, let's move on to the second one. The second email today comes to us from Samuel Polay, who writes, just saw your review for Deadpool 2 and it got me thinking. Even if Incredibles 2 and Aquaman are underwhelming in the quality department, have the other 2018 superhero movies been good enough for us to declare this year the best ever for superhero movies? Or do we still need to see how good The Incredibles 2 and Aquaman are? All right, so it feels like every year we have to have this discussion. Is this the best year for comic book movies ever? I mean, we had to have a serious discussion about that last year, because, look, last year we had Spider-Man Homecoming, we had Wonder Woman, we had Thor Ragnarok, we had Logan, which was by far the best out of all of them, and probably one of the best, in my opinion, the best film of the year. So, I mean, we had to have that discussion last year too. But I mean, let's seriously look at what we've had so far this year. We've had 3 major comic book movies already this year, and all of them have blown us away. You've had Black Panther, which was incredible. You got Infinity War, which is incredible. And now we've got Deadpool 2, which is incredible. I mean, we've had 3 come out that have not just been great, but 3 that have come out and completely crushed it and knocked it out of the park. All 3 of them. And so we're only in May, and we're having to have a legit discussion just in May if 2018 may be the greatest year ever for comic book movies. Now, I'm going to say it's too early to call, because let's say this. Let's say Ant-Man comes out and it's terrible. And let's say Aquaman comes out and it's terrible. That will, that knocks the greatness of the other 3 down a little bit when you're trying to evaluate the year as a whole. But I'll say this. If Aquaman comes out and it's just good, forget great, forget awesome, forget knocking it out of the park. If Aquaman comes out and it's just good, and if Ant-Man comes out and isn't great, isn't awesome, but is just good, then you put those 2 good scores with the 3 completely crushed it out of the park scores, and I'm gonna agree with anybody who wants to say that 2018 will be the greatest year for comic book movies ever. Now, again, we got to wait and see how Ant-Man is. We got to wait and see how Aquaman is. Those are the 2 big major ones that have to come out. But if they can, even remotely come close to the ones we've had so far, we got to have a serious discussion that this may be the greatest comic book movie year ever. All right, let's move on to the last email question of the day. And the last email question today comes to us from Emily J., who writes, "Hey, John, greetings from Sydney." Well, hello, Emily. Thanks for writing from Sydney. Love your show. In regarding about Josh Brolin's comments about Marvel and DC, where he was comparing it by saying total failure and massive success, what do you think about his comments about DC? I'm a DC and Marvel fan myself, and I know DC's had a rough ride of it, but do you think Josh is being a bit harsh on DC, hating on it? Or do you see his comments as fair? Bring on the filthy. All right, thanks a lot for the email, Emily. And look, this was something I wasn't even going to bring up, because Brolin made these comments a little bit ago. Maybe even as long as a week ago, but at any rate. And I wasn't even going to talk about it. But I've had so many of you people email me about it, so many of you guys emailing me saying, why aren't you talking about Josh Brolin's comments? He said DC's a total failure. He said DC's a total failure. But he didn't. Here's the context. Here's what all the hullabaloo is about. And this is why you've got to look at stories closely, okay? Because if you just look at headlines, a bunch of the headlines that came out at the time were Josh Brolin says Marvel total success and DC total failure. And if you just looked at the headlines, you think, wow, Josh Brolin really took it to DC. But when you look closer, you realize, oh, that's not what he said at all. Okay, so here's what it is. Basically, if I understand it right, the way it was put to him and the way it was structured was, he was asked about his experience shooting a DC movie like Jonah Hex, which a couple of friends of mine wrote, actually. He said he was being asked and talking about comparing his experience shooting a DC movie like Jonah Hex versus his experience of shooting other films like a Avengers Infinity War or a Deadpool 2. It is within that context, not talking about what do you think about DC and Marvel? Total failure, total success. That's not what he said. The context of his comments was in the terms of talking about his experience. And Jonah Hex was terrible. And he clearly points out and said that was a total failure. But he's talking about, from everything that I looked at, he's talking about that one specific thing. And meanwhile, everybody's running these headlines. Josh Brolin says DC a total failure and Marvel's a total success. That wasn't what he was talking about. He was talking about his specific experience shooting one specific DC movie versus his experience of shooting some Marvel movies. His experience. And yeah, his experience of shooting Jonah Hex ended up as a total failure. Yes. But that doesn't mean he was talking about DC as a whole or the DCU as a whole. So This is a classic situation of somebody saying something and then everybody putting words in their mouth and changing the meaning of what they said. Because that's not what Josh Brolin was saying. And look, even if it was what he was saying, hey, he's entitled to his own opinion. But it was within the context of talking about Jonah Hex, his experience shooting DC, his experience shooting Marvel. And it got taken out of context and people ran with it and people ran headlines and all this kind of stuff. And it's not really what he said. So, no, Josh Brolin did not come out and say, DCEU is a total failure. That is not what he said. So let's just move beyond that. Okay, guys, with that out of the way, let's go on to some live questions. I got a few minutes left here for some live questions, so let's jump right into it right now. The first live question today comes to us from KW Garrett, who writes, saw Deadpool 2 and it was fantastic. I love that movie, man. One of the trailers was for Happy Time Murders, and oh my God, I nearly died laughing. Let's hope no kids accidentally see that. You know, this is one of the rare occasions that a trailer, it doesn't happen much anymore. It happens from time to time, but it doesn't happen much, where a trailer actually dropped in the theater before it dropped online. You hardly ever see that anymore. These days, when it's going to open in theaters, the trailer's going to open in theater, it usually drops online like a few days or a week before it pops up in theaters. I had never even heard this Red Band trailer was coming. Which added to my pleasant surprise, sitting there waiting for Deadpool 2 to start, and boom, this Happy Time Murders trailer drops, and the whole theater was just laughing themselves hysterically. Like, I don't know about the theater you were in. I'm just saying the theater I was in, everybody was losing their minds. And it caught me completely by surprise. One of the very, very few times that the first time I saw a trailer was actually in the theater and not online. And I think it worked for them. Then they dropped it online early this morning. So you can't find, just make sure you find the trailer that isn't from like 4 months ago. Make sure you find the trailer that just dropped today. That is from like, that is the Red Band trailer, and you should be good. All right. Jay Bling writes, John Wick 3 really looks to subvert expectations. No one would expect him to hide out at a destination wedding in North California countryside. Yeah, I mean, the one thing that did catch me off guard was that Keanu Reeves' look in the destination wedding trailer is completely identical to his John Wick look. I mean, he looks like John Wick. But again, I do enjoy the trailer. I thought the trailer was great. Let's see. Ezequiel Fuentes Jr. writes, hey, John, thanks for everything that you do. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. He follows up with, I was wondering if I could send you a gift to show my appreciation. You don't need to send me gifts of appreciation. I've had lots of people ask me before, John, do you have like a P.O. box? Because I got something I want to send you, and I appreciate that very much, but completely not necessary. You guys being here, just the fact that you use a super chat, that's plenty of support and plenty of appreciation. Thank you so much. You don't need to send me anything, but I really appreciate you asking. Luis writes, I've been binging Black Lightning on Netflix. You weren't kidding. Show is good. Love the whole cast plus Dexter's dad. Yeah, Gamby. That's his name in it, right? That was one of the first things that got me really excited. So I'm watching the pilot for Black Lightning, and holy crap, it's Harry from Dexter. It's Dexter's dad, Harry's Law. I mean, that was very exciting to me, but it ends up the show is just really damn good. Now, whether or not it can continue that into season 2 now that they've played out a bunch of their story and a bunch of the mystery of it and the daughters discovering their powers and all that kind of stuff. Can it sustain the quality into season 2? And it has been picked up for season 2. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But all I know is that the first season to me did impress me. John K. writes, Solo, was director change up noticeable in it like the Justice League? I honestly didn't feel like the director change in Justice League was all that notable. Or was all that obvious? I mean, they reshot a lot of that movie, so the movie, for good or for bad, felt pretty consistent to me at any rate. But no, Solo, no. You would never know that there was a director change in this. I mean, look, they already had a solid script because Lawrence Kasdan, the guy who wrote Empire Strikes Back, wrote this movie. And one of the reasons they parted with Lord and Miller is because they were deviating too far away from Lawrence's script. Ron Howard comes in, one of the most seasoned, best directors in the business. He got it back on track with the script, got the actors more comfortable. Like we were talking yesterday about how, the Mother of Dragons, I'm forgetting the actress's name, who's in this movie, but she's from Game of Thrones. But she was talking about how, like, Ron Howard got the actors back on board. She was talking about how under Lord and Miller, the actors started feeling a little bit alienated, which is weird because I've never heard anybody on any Lord and Miller film ever say anything remotely to that. But there it is. So no, but one of the surprising things is it feels like Ron Howard just directed from the beginning. And look, he reshot this movie longer than Lord and Miller were shooting the movie. So it's not like Ron Howard came in and did a little bit of pickups. I mean, it's his movie. Okay, let's go on here. Next one comes to us from Ben Rayner, writes, S.H.I.E.L.D. coming in summer of 2019 because of Avengers 4. That is the speculation. The speculation right now, for those of you who missed it, it was announced the other day that the next season, which I think will probably be the last season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., because it got renewed for another season, but they cut the number of episodes in half, and it's going to come out after Avengers 4. Nobody said this officially, but yeah, I do believe that points to the fact that they're going to try to tie in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. into whatever events happen in Avengers 4. That's what Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. does. They try to tie into what's going on in the movies. So I wouldn't doubt it at all if that's the reason. Lindro Fonseca writes, I'm really bummed out that Deadpool 2 got rated 18 plus in Brazil. The theater that I went to was empty. That's unfortunate because the theaters in North America were packed. Now, I'm not even going to pretend to understand or to know how the rating system in Brazil works or what films got what, because I can't speak to that. But if that is the top rating, it probably didn't deserve it. Like this is a hard R movie, no doubt, but it's not an NC-17 movie, like nowhere close to that. So I don't know why Brazil would give it an 18 plus, but then again, like I said, I don't understand the Brazilian film rating system, so I'm not going to pretend to know. And it is unfortunate that the theater you were at was empty because the theater I was at was packed. And like I said earlier, it broke the record for biggest opening Thursday night for an R-rated film in history, just slaughtering the previous record that was held by it and slaughtering Deadpool 1's numbers too. So things are looking good for it. Krieger119 writes, John, have you seen the new marketing for Deadpool 2 at Walmart's BR section? I don't know what BR is. If not, just Google Walmart Deadpool 2 Blu-ray real quick. Next level stuff. If you're talking about like the Blu-ray discs, I think I know what you're talking about. Where it's like Walmart took some of their DVD sections and took like movies that you would find, but they're redone. The cover of those movies are redone with Deadpool being in them. Again, you'd have to just look up to see what it is he's talking about, but they are pretty damn funny, and it was pretty damn smart. ZCM Zombie writes, good morning, John. Saw Deadpool 2 last night. Very funny. I think I laughed harder the second time than I did the first. I just cannot believe how funny I think that movie is. Nathan C. writes, thank you for the fruits of the spirit you bear. Thank you so much, Nathan. Nathan C. writes, also, that Happy Time trailer is nuts, but I'm sold. That Happy Time trailer, man. Oh, my God. Particularly, like, everything they're doing. Like, first of all, it catches you totally off guard with, hey, I'll do this for 50 cents. I mean, if you saw the trailer, you know what I'm talking about. But also at the end, when the one puppet is servicing a client, oh my God. Like me and my friends and Ann, we were just, I had a hard time breathing. I laughed so hard at that point. It was crazy, crazy good. Cole Scott writes, have you heard they made Lando pansexual? Why? Well, why not? Did it make any difference to the movie? Why not? I mean, no, seriously. If you're going to ask why, then I have to follow up that question by saying, why not? Does saying that contradict? First of all, I haven't heard anything officially say that. But even if they did, what difference does it make? Does them saying that contradict anything we've seen in the movies? No. Then I have to put the question back to you. Why not? Justify why they shouldn't do that. Because from where I'm sitting, as a white heterosexual male, I watch that and you say, okay, you say that character is straight. Okay, that doesn't change anything. You say that character, I mean, what you can't say is that Lando's gay. You can't say that. That would contradict things we've seen in the movies. But you want to come out and say he's pansexual? I think I know what pansexual means. I'm not even totally sure. Anyway, then if I look at the movies, okay, you're saying that, fine. Does that contradict anything I've seen in any of the movies? No. Then the question isn't why, the question is why not? And if you can't answer the why not question, then we shouldn't even have this discussion. Catch-22 Productions writes, Speed Racer is 10. What is your opinion of the film? 2. I hated Speed Racer. I thought it was garbage. I'll be honest with you. And I was excited about the movie. I love the cast in it. I mean, we're coming off Matrix and all that kind of stuff. They did some very innovative things visually. Absolutely they did. But honestly, I thought the movie was terrible. I'm glad you liked it, though. I mean, that's awesome that you liked it. I have a number of friends that like it. But my personal opinion of it was I thought it was just terrible. Devontae Brown writes, did you see the Jerome/Jeremiah actor confirm the long-rumored WB rule about characters not being on film and TV at the same time? It's why he's not called Joker. And you know, here's the funny thing about that. I love that DC is keeping their TV and movie universes separate. That's the right move. That is the right thing to do. Because it just frees you up storytelling-wise. Your hands aren't tied. You're not handcuffed to whatever TV's doing. You're not handcuffed to whatever movies are doing and blah, blah, blah. You can just do your own thing and not worry about it. But what the hell is the point of keeping them separate if you're saying, oh, but you can't, oh yeah, Deathstroke is in the movies now, so you can't have Deathstroke on Arrow. What kind of logic is that? How does that make any sense? What's the point of keeping these? The whole point of keeping these universes separate is that you're free to do what you want to do without being handcuffed. But you're just handcuffing them anyway, saying, oh, so we got Deathstroke in the movies now, so that means he can't have Manu Bennett in Arrow anymore playing Deathstroke. He's one of the best things in the Arrowverse. I just don't understand that rule at all. Like, I understand you don't want to have Batman in there. I get it. Batman is your most valuable IP. He is your crown jewel. I get it. So you don't want to take risks with him in television because you got to protect the IP of Batman. That I get. But like Deathstroke, if you're going to put Joker in there anywhere, everybody knows it's Joker because, you know, I don't understand it, Devontae. I don't understand it at all. All right, just time for 2 more questions. And any questions that I do not get around to here today, guys, that you guys have sent in, don't worry about it. I will include them on the companion video that is coming out tomorrow morning. Go Kings Go 83 writes, the ending of Happy Time Murder trailer, LOL, man, that crowd erupted. Deadpool 2 was good, not better than the first film, but I had a great time. I think it was better. Now, it depends on what level. Like, for me, as much as I laughed in the first Deadpool, I laughed more in Deadpool 2. They may have done some other things better in the first Deadpool movie. So it really depends on what you're looking. There's no wrong answer. Like, which one do you like more, Deadpool 1 or Deadpool 2? There's no wrong answer. But I think after seeing it a second time, I'm ready to say that I enjoyed Deadpool 2 even more than Deadpool 1. It's close, but I think that's what I'm ready to say. Manuel Castro writes, hey, John, just wanted to say thank you for what you do. I'm a big fan from Texas. First time I got to watch you live. Oh, thank you. Well, thanks for being here, Manuel. I really appreciate it, and thanks for being part of the film fan community, man. And Cobra writes, Deadpool 2 is the first R-rated billion-dollar club member? I don't know, man. Like, I think we take for granted just how hard it is for a movie to hit $1 billion. That's a big number. Not to mention that unlike Black Panther, which had no competition for a while, and unlike Avengers Infinity War, which had like 3 weeks all to itself, Deadpool's got Solo opening next week, which apparently is going to gobble up a lot of box office. More than I thought it would, at any rate. Anyway, I don't know. I wouldn't say $1 billion. I mean, I hope it does. It deserves it. Totally deserves to be $1 billion film. I just don't really see it getting there quite yet. Okay, guys, that will do it for today's installment. Bye again, once again, to all you guys who sent in the super chat questions I don't have time to get around to right now. Don't worry. I'm going to copy and paste them all. I'm going to record them this afternoon, and they'll be up tomorrow morning in our companion video. So make sure you check out the companion video. Your questions will get answered. Thanks so much for being here again today, guys. Listen, don't forget, if you are a fan of and you like watching any of my programming, do me a favor, head on over to www.patreon.com/John Campea. There you'll get all the information about what it means to be a Patreon supporter, how being a Patreon supporter keeps this show on the air, and what benefits there are to being a Patreon supporter, and maybe you'll become a Patreon supporter too, which would be awesome. And if you don't, that's totally fine. I'm just glad you're here being a film fan with us. Also, don't forget, guys, follow me on Twitter right there, simply at John Campea. That'll do it for me, guys. Thanks a lot for joining me. My name's John Campea, and until open mic later this afternoon, Bye-bye.